Good evening to those bored enough to watch. In a previous video, I discussed Geometry Dash Meltdown, a game that was short but just as great as the other entries in this series. However, as I mentioned in that video, there were 3 other Geometry Dash titles, and in this video I want to discuss another one of these games. Now, as opposed to the other games, this one is different in the sense that it takes a different approach to how the game is laid out. While these differences can be considered small to some, it's definitely very noticeable in the game itself. In this video, I want to discuss Geometry Dash World, a game that I most definitely enjoy despite its slight differences. Being released on the 21st of December in 2016, I think that this game is great, and in this video I want to discuss what I like, what I dislike, and why I overall think that this game is worth a try. So with that, let's discuss Geometry Dash World. This game is one that plays very differently to the other games in the series. This time the stages are sectioned into 2 worlds that you must complete to get to the end. Unlike the stages in the other games, the ones in this game are significantly much shorter, but the stage count is more plentiful, with each world in the game having approximately 5 stages each. So with that, we begin with the first stage in the Dashlands, Payload, which is a serviceable introductory stage to the game. The obstacles aren't too difficult to dodge, and I overall feel as though the game does a good job with teaching the core basics of the gameplay. However, it definitely isn't as good as what the previous games have done with their introductory stages. However, I still think that this is serviceable. After that, we play through the stages Beast Mode, Machina, Years, and Frontlines, that last one being the final stage in that respective world. One of the many things I noticed with this game is the shorter stages being in the game. It's a lot more easier than it once was in the previous entries to learn the stages layouts, as well as the stages generally being a lot more easier in general. However, that does bring up an issue I will discuss in due course. For now, let's continue onwards to the Toxic Factory, starting with the first stage, Space Pirates, a stage which introduces the gimmick of a spaceship in the game, which essentially sees you needing to maintain the correct height to be able to continuously avoid the incoming obstacles. Other than that though, we move on to the next few stages, Striker, Ember, Round 1, and Monster Dance-Off, that last one which introduces the concept of turning it into a lightning beam, restricting the normal movement to that of diagonally upwards and downwards. But other than that, the stage is the last of the Toxic Factory, and before we move on, we realize that the game is finished. Now, I think that the game is objectively well made, and I like a lot of things within it, such as that of the idea of expanding into sectioning the game into worlds, as well as the game being on par with a lot of Geometry Dash's staples in terms of the way the game is designed. However, while I think that the concept of worlds look good on paper, in execution it ruins one of the many things I like about the other games. Each game in this series opts to deliver challenging stages that are amazingly designed, giving the player a fair and serviceable challenge in the forefront of the stage. However, I think that this game places quantity over quality in the sense that while the game has a lot more stages than the previous game, most, if not all of them, fell flat for me. The stages were too short to me that it felt like they were over before they even began. The game continues the trend of the stages being in tune with the music, but in doing so the stage is so seemingly short that the music doesn't exactly get any room to shine, making it feel like it's finished before it's even started. I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel rather underwhelmed by the stages in this game, and that is something I want to discuss further. Before I get to discussing how underwhelmed by the stages I was, I want to quickly mention this. The game seemingly doesn't have any extra content that you can indulge in. As of right now, the best thing you can do is replay the stages, which I'm unsure of why you would want to do that when there isn't much to indulge in. To me, while I think that what this game has to offer is definitely serviceable, it misunderstands what made the other stages in other games so enjoyable to play through. They seamlessly mixed providing a challenge, fun and engaging gameplay, as well as providing a fast-paced experience, which all fell into place to provide a stage that delivered an amazing experience. In my opinion, this game takes that and essentially strips all of it in favor of giving the game a higher stage count. While definitely serviceable, it definitely does feel a lot more underwhelming than what the previous games had offered. I should make this clear, I don't think that this is a bad game, but I do feel as though that the game definitely misunderstands what made the other ones feel so engaging to play. However, I also want to suggest this. I'd recommend playing the game for yourself and coming to your own conclusions in regards to it. It is a serviceable experience, but I simply think that the game is just mediocre at best. But nonetheless, I would recommend that you try this game out for yourself. Maybe you'll agree with me, and maybe you won't. It's worth a try. So, there's the video. I hope you all enjoyed it. I know this one is also a bit shorter than what I normally upload, and once again I apologize if that disappoints some of you, but nonetheless I hope you all enjoyed it. I know it's kind of late to say this now that we're 15 days into January, but I really hope you all enjoy the content I have planned for this year. With that, if you want to view the list of games I want to make videos about in the future, then I will leave the link to that in the description. Similarly, if you want to follow me, then my socials will be linked in the description, as well as any afterthoughts or messages I may want to add. With that, I haven't really got much else I want to say, so I'll see you all in my next video. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I wish you all a very pleasant evening.